Winning Blueprint presents.
In the lab room, the market. Houston, Texas.
Welcome to the market. You're in the lab room. I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. Welcome to the market, the NFL's one-stop shop for all positions related to the field. Otherwise known as, and more commonly known as, NFL free agency. Welcome. You're in the market. This is where the NFL teams like to go to help supplement their rosters, fill in some holes, fill some voids, and become better teams in the upcoming season. Free agency. Who doesn't like to shop? And that's what the market is. It's a big store, a mega store filled with free agents for NFL teams to shop around and pick out. And today, the Houston Texans will be the topic of discussion. And this is a team that can't get over the hump of the divisional round of the postseason. 2 consecutive seasons, they've went to the divisional round of the postseason. 2 consecutive seasons, they've lost in the divisional round of the postseason. So the Texans have some work to do to better their team. Here's my comprehensive list of every single free agent available in the 2013 offseason in free agency in the National Football League for these teams to go after. And I'm going to use that list to help talk about players that I think the Houston Texans should be targeting in free agency in the market to help their team become better in the 2013 season and beyond. I'll also be using the aid of my handy dandy trusty big board. This board has every single team in the National Football League listed on it. And among the topics on this board are notable free agents. Every team has free agents that are up that they need to either re-sign or allow to walk away. Either restricted or unrestricted. The Houston Texans are no different. They have free agents that need to be discussed. And so I'll talk about whether the Texans will re-sign these guys or allow them to walk away. And I said notable. So not all free agents will be talked about and discussed here on the show. Only the ones that I deem necessary. Also, positions of need will be listed on this board. The Texans have some positions that they need to go out and address, whether it be through free agency or the draft. That remains to be seen, but yet they have some deficiencies and holes on their roster, and they need to be addressed. And also, we'll be talking about the players that can help them address those areas of need. So let's talk about the Houston Texans and what they need to do in free agency to become a really good football team and help them maybe get over the hump in 2013. And I'll be using my big board to talk about the Houston Texans, and I'll be using it the whole entire time I'm talking about the Texans and what they need to do. So let's talk about their notable free agents. We'll list all of them, and then we'll go through them one by one and talk about what the Texans should do, probably will do, and then I'll give you my opinion as to what the Texans should do. So these are the notable free agents for the Houston Texans, and they're quite a bit. Connor Barwin, James Casey, Sean Cody, Tim Dobbins, Justin Forsett, Shane Graham, Brady James, Donnie Jones, Stanford Routt, and Glover Quinn. So these are your notable free agents. So let's talk about them one by one. Connor Barwin. The Texans need to have him back. It's really simple. He had an off season in 2012. Wasn't as productive as you would like him to be. Doesn't matter. Connor Barwin is a Houston Texan. He needs to remain a Houston Texan. He's a solid piece along your defense. He needs to be back. Simple as that. James Casey. Here's a guy that I think the Texans undervalue. You moved him from tight end to fullback, and I think that quietly on the market, he's going to command a lot of attention. He's very versatile. You can put him at tight end. You can put him at fullback. I like James Casey a lot. I think a lot of other teams like James Casey a lot. And if the Texans aren't careful, if they don't make a strong enough push to get James Casey back, he won't be back. Because I think there are other teams out there that like James Casey a lot and will make a push to get him. And I don't think he'll be back in Houston. I honestly don't. Sean Cody. I don't think you need to retain his services. For too long, the Texans have been putting Sean Cody at defensive tackle. It was okay when you were playing a 4-3 defense, when you had Super Mario and you had a 4-3 defense. Now you're playing a 3-4 defense. Sean Cody doesn't fit that defense. If you're going to have a guy like Sean Cody, he needs to be at defensive end. You're already set at the defensive end position in your 3-4 defense. If you want to keep him for defensive end purposes as a rotational guy, by all means. But at defensive tackle, at your nose tackle, he needs to go. And I think you need to get out of the Sean Cody business. I think you need to go get a real nose tackle, a guy that actually eats up space in the 3-4 defense that can make a difference in the middle of your defense. Sean Cody is not that guy, and I think you need to allow him to walk away. Tim Dobbins. He's a solid backup. And if you're looking for a guy that's going to continue to give you rotational depth, then re-sign Tim Dobbins. Why not? He's a guy that was injured last season, but when he was playing, he was solid. He's not going to wow you. He's a solid defender. Nothing more, nothing less. I think he's a guy that you can bring back on the cheap. But if you think there are other options available that are just as cheap, that can be better, then go out and test the free agent market. But if you're looking for a guy that you know that you can trust, keep Tim Dobbins. Justin Forsett. I thought in limited duty last year, he was pretty solid at the running back position. Now, do you want him back? I don't know. Do you? I think that you could go without him. But if the dollars make sense and it's not going to cost you a lot to keep him, why not keep him? I mean, you got Ben Tate, you got Arian Foster. If you keep Forsett, you're set at running back. But if you think you can go in the draft and get a younger guy that can be more explosive, okay, I understand. But there's not a lot of free agent running backs out there. So if you're going to allow Justin Forsett to walk away, it's because you feel like you can get a guy in the draft, not because you're going to go out and target one in free agency. Shane Graham, solid field goal kicker. I mean, there's not much more to say. He's solid. He doesn't have the leg that he used to. He's not a guy that's going to kick a 54-yard field goal anymore, consistently at least. So if you're looking for an upgrade in that department, sure, I understand. But if you're looking for a guy that's going to be solid from 49 yards and in, Shane Graham's your guy. But if you're looking for a guy that's a true difference maker, that's going to make a 52, 53, 54-yard field goal, and look, the NFL is starting to transition into young, big-legged kickers. You don't have that on your roster right now. And if you're looking for that, then you're going to have to go into the draft and get that. And if you're going to do that, then you allow Shane Graham to walk away. If you're not, keep Shane Graham. Donnie Jones, he's your punter. Why not? You think you can do better? By all means. But if you don't, look, he's a punter. If you think he's really good, keep him. If not, I'm not here to really break down punters. Unless your punter is exceptional, and Donnie Jones is not exceptional, he's just okay, then I'm not going to go into serious analysis over punters. Keep him or don't keep him. Figure it out. Glover Quinn. The Texans want him back. The Texans need him back. He's a young, talented safety. I don't know why I'm having this discussion. Glover Quinn needs to be back. Simple as that. I think the Texans are going to have him back. Figure it out before free agency starts, because there's a lot of teams in the National Football League that need safeties, and they won't have a problem coming and prying your safety away from you. Sign Glover Quinn back to a long-term deal. Get it done. Figure it out. Have him back in the fold in the 2013 season. Stanford Routt. Here's an interesting prospect. You got him at the end of the 2012 season. He only played in 2 games for you. You really have a small sample size of what Stanford Routt can do for you. Do you like him? I know you like his size. I know you like his athleticism. Do you like Stanford Routt as a corner? A lot of teams around the league seem not to. The Kansas City Chiefs didn't like his talents. Neither did the Oakland Raiders. So it's up to you to decide, can you get the most and the best out of Stanford Routt? If you can, you keep him. If you can't, you allow him to walk away and you go find yourself a new cornerback. So look, these are the positions of need for the Houston Texans. Wide receiver, inside linebacker, nose tackle, right tackle. So we start at wide receiver. For years, I've been begging the Houston Texans to get a number 2 receiver across from Andre Johnson. Dre has been carrying the load For years upon years, you tried to sell me on Kevin Walter. No. You're trying to sell me on DeVere Posey. No. Keyshawn Martin is not a 2. Neither is Lestar Jean. Stop it already. Get a real number 2 receiver. Why don't you already? Stop it. Stop it. So here are some guys that I think can be viable options for number 2 receivers in Houston. This guy, I've been recommending him to a lot of teams around the league, and you're no different. I think he'll be a number 2 gem for you. Brandon Gibson. I think this guy has a lot of talent. He's in St. Louis right now. He's a free agent. He had his best season of his career in the 2012 season. He's a guy that I think can help you. I think he is emerging as a guy that can be a really good number 2 receiver, a complementary receiver to a number 1 in this league. You should go out and get him. Here's another guy that can help you. Donnie Avery. He was solid for the Indianapolis Colts. Now, I don't know if he's a number 2 or not. Not sure. So I'd be a little bit more cautious when approaching Donnie Avery in free agency. I'm not as sold on him as I am Brandon Gibson or this next guy, Ramses Barden. He's a guy from New York, 6'6", has a lot of potential. Huge upside if he can just stay healthy and if he can be given the opportunity to start. And I think if he's given that chance, he could do some serious damage for some team in the National Football League. You could use a guy like Ramses Barden. Give him a chance, see what he can do. I think he can actually be an upgrade over anything you have on your roster at the number 2 wide receiver position. Also, there are other guys that are available, but Devery Henderson is not a number 2 in this league. I think he's a solid receiver that can help you stretch the field if you're looking for a guy to do that. But he's not a number 2 receiver. But he is a free agent. He is available, and you could use an upgrade at the wide receiver position. Steve Smith is a guy that I don't think he's a number 2 receiver either. I think he's more of a slot guy. I think he's more of a guy that can help you move the sticks on third down. He's a guy that's reliable, has reliable hands, can catch the football. Not a number 2 receiver. Dominic Hickson could be a number 2 receiver if given the opportunity. He's just too injured for me, though. He's injured too often. I say you stick with Gibson or Barden and try one of those guys out and have them be your number 2 receiver. Inside linebacker. Cushion is coming off of an injury. Sharpton is never healthy. I think you need to have another inside linebacker that you can trust. Here are some guys that I think you can use in free agency. Chase Blackburn or Brandon Seiler. These are your 2 options. I think they're the best you can do at inside linebacker. Or, here's a little nugget, Nick Barnett. I think one of those 3 guys can come in and help you be a veteran presence at the middle linebacker position. And I think that every single one of them can start for you. Now, Brandon Seiler is more of an outside linebacker to me, but he might be able to make the transition inside if you need him to. But I think that if you are the Houston Texans, you're looking for Chase Blackburn, you're looking for Ray Mataluga, you're looking for a guy like that, Nick Barnett, someone that can come in and fill a void at the middle linebacker position, because I think you need to have a guy that can step in that could either start or be someone that can give you some serious rotational value depth, because I don't think Cushion will be ready for the start of the season. And Daryl Sharpton is never healthy. Never healthy. And so you got to have a guy that can step in and start at moment's notice. Nose tackle. Here's a position that the Texans have been running away from for years. Time for you to stop running and get a real nose tackle. Here are some options that are available to you in free agency. Abreu Franklin. If you're looking for the traditional road grader, space eater, run-stopping defensive tackle, the nose tackle that's going to just be there, a big brick wall, Abreu Franklin or Casey Hampton are some veteran options that will be at your disposal. If you're looking for some guys that can be a little bit spry, can be more athletic, that can get around, that maybe can be more in the mold of a Houston Texan defensive tackle, then you're looking for a guy like Terrence Knighting or Isaac Sapaga from the San Francisco 49ers. They're more athletic. They're still big guys, but they're more athletic than, say, a Abreu Franklin or a Casey Hampton. But you need a nose tackle. Address this through free agency, or maybe you feel like you can get a solid, more athletic and younger defensive tackle in the draft. Lastly, right tackle. Ever since you released Eric Winston, you've been looking for a solid right tackle. And you've been reported to be interested in getting the services of Eric Winston back. I don't blame you. Sebastian Vollmer is another really good right tackle that is going to command a lot of attention on the market. Look, he's going to cost you a lot of money, but so is Eric Winston. So if you're looking for something elite, here are some guys that can help you. If you're looking for something a little bit cheaper, then there are some other options. Gosha Charles from Detroit, Phil Lodeholt from Minnesota. And there are even some other options that you could look to. Guys like Tyler Columbus in Washington, or even Tony Pashos in Cleveland. I mean, there are some alternatives out there. You just have to look around, figure out what fits your needs, and make something happen. And so there are some guys available. Andre Smith is another right tackle that maybe if you're looking for a guy that's going to cost you a lot of money that could be highly productive, if you're looking for more upside, Andre Smith is a guy you could go after. But I don't know if he fits a Houston Texans offensive lineman. You need a spry guy that can get out to the edge and run in that zone blocking scheme. I don't know if Andre Smith is that guy. I think if you could, and probably the most ideal fit for you would be Eric Winston to come back to Houston. And that's the Houston Texans in a nutshell. You need to take that next step. You're running in place right now. You're stuck in neutral. And it happens sometimes. But now it's time for you to take that next step. You're running out of time in Houston. Matt Schaub is being questioned as the leader in Houston. Andre Johnson is getting up there in age. Arian Foster isn't going to be the same back that he's been over the years forever. You need to start trying to win now. You need to take that next step pronto. And so free agency and the draft will help you take those steps to get to where you're trying to go. And I think the first step, the first building block toward you getting over the hump, free agency. Make some moves, get a number 2 receiver, get a right tackle, get a nose tackle, and maybe you can make some headway in the AFC. You were really good last year, but you weren't dominant. You weren't scaring teams, and you're not good enough to beat teams like the Patriots. A few moves in the offseason, and maybe, just maybe, you'll be ready for the big time. And that's the Houston Texans in the market.
Houston Texans, the market.